there is a delay in terms of the audio and some of the other graphics. Hello? Yeah, I just turned on the mic, so basically that is going to now, you're going to be able to hear audio and everything else, because I had it on mute, because basically I was just trying to sort the other things out. So we are live, and you're about to see me with my cell phone. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the technical glitches, but we are now live. So if everybody could go to Tinker, well, I'm going to sound it out, because this is going to be the browser that we're actually going to use to actually do Tinker and also to get into our actual Turtle graphics. The website is, you're going to open up your Chrome browser. You can also open up on Chrome, on Internet Explorer and Excel, and that is going to be the website. I'm going to wait for other people to get ready. So that is going to be on TRINKET.io. Once again, that is TRINKET.io. So this is the main thing that we're going to be using for most of our creations, or basically just to go through what exactly Turtle Graphics is, and also what it provides us, and also some of the things that we can do in terms of tips and tricks. One thing you need to note with this is that, one, we can get rid of whatever else is here. So basically I'm going to delete it. So the first question that is very important to know is to know that, once again, I'm just going to give the little intro, so basically you know where I'm coming from, what the virtual platform that I'm using, and also where I'm coming and where I'm teaching, and also where you can find these types of variety of classes and the things that we're doing. So thank you everybody for joining. Really, I'm already seeing a lot of people in the chat. Really excited for that. This is our Steam stream. This is our very first Steam stream. We just wanted to respond to a lot of things that are happening with coronavirus, and we just want to make sure that all your kids get the educational needs that are available and we can provide. Year round, we are a cultural space and a community space. We provide programming for ages up to like 5th grade, and also we also provide a early learning education center. Our core is to really make sure that basically we want to be the one-stop shop for kids to be able to explore their interests, build their strengths, and just apply to everybody's achievements. Basically, it's all about positivity. So the first thing to recognize is Python works on like an XY axis. This is the Cartesian plane. This is basically an XY axis, which is very similar to what people use in mapping. This is what people used and still use for like logos and graphics. Like it's a vector-based program, and it's very useful for us in terms of what we want to do. In computer graphics, Turtle graphics, they use the relative cursor, just like the mouse the mouse guide that we have, like the one I'm moving around even now, if you have a high resolution, that we can use on a regular basis. And it's a key, and as I explained before, it's a key feature in logo programming. So what we're going to start with, just so we have our first actual Turtle graphics going on, if everybody is on the same browser, is we're going to type in, make sure this is in the right place, okay. We're going to type in like import turtle. Now I'm going to use a hashtag because this is going to be my pseudocode. Pseudocode is code that just explains what is happening and it's so basically if another programmer comes along and you've built this Python code, just looking at all of it and screening through it is going to be fairly tedious, and it's just going to take up a lot of time. So basically I'm going to say this allows us to use the turtle library, which is built into the program. Next week we'll be going through an actual IDE, which is integrated device system, which basically is a visual text coder. So basically it's like Visual Studio Code is free. That's what we'll be using next week. And there we'll be going into like how do you develop retro games, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so when you go into the browser, I see a lot of questions in terms of where do you type. Okay, so first you're going to open up Tinker. I'll open up another tab so basically people can see. I'm opening up another tab. I'm typing in the website, tinker.co.io. And the first thing you're going to see is all this advertisement. Just click on to the Tinker code, and then basically scroll down, and then you'll have it actually appear. What you're going to do is then you're going to click on, and I'll wait for it to catch up. You don't have to sign in. That is correct. Duckman is correct. You don't have to sign in. This is completely free. This is just this is just a platform for practice. It's not necessarily the actual coder that you'll be using on a regular basis. This is basically a very good place where even if you don't have necessarily a powerful computer, or even if you want to do this at a library, like we have some people who visit the library for their actual computer needs and everything else. That's where you'll go to. This is a very good actual processor for Python code to actually see a result and then produce something from there. You don't have to buy a subscription. So once you've scroll down, you'll scroll down to where it's like share from any device, and then you're just going to click, and then you're going to trash it, which I've already done. You clear the main chat, so basically in some ways that's not a problem. So you get rid of what it says in terms of shapes. That is a nice lesson, but that's not what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so I'm going to now move on. So basically, once again, we're now going to import the library that we have from the actual program. This is already built in to Python, and when you have like your text divider, you get a lot of extensions that will basically that allows us to be able to access all that is within it. And extensions allows us to get to other features. Sometimes there's extensions, however, that actually can go against each other. So you actually have to get those out of the way and just get the extensions that are required and that you need. You know where you're supposed to be, right? Okay, so please go. I do have a student with me as well. And he is following along, and he's using one of our iMac computers that we have available. So Okay, so Mikael Bromine. Okay, me at a pro Minecraft. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to move on for those that are actually following along. So now we're importing the actual importing turtle. I'm now going to redefine it and basically say that basically win or WN is equal to turtle. And then I'm going to say it's part of this, then it's going to be about the width of the screen. This creates the graphics window. So basically WN is window. So basically it's the window, it's going to be for a turtle, and then it's going to create my graphics screen. So basically I'm going to make sure that's clear. So basically in some ways that helps me understand next time I come back to it. So the next line is I'm going to now redefine what turtle is. So basically in some ways I'm going to tell it that I want my turtle to do something specific. I could actually rename and say, okay, well, whenever I type in Alex and I tell Alex to move this and this amount on the screen, I'm now actually going to be affecting what Alex does. So basically I'm going to make it just Tim. So basically I'm going to name him Tim. And the open and close brackets kind of opens it and seals it, makes it defined. Then I'm adding my pseudocode of what I just created. So now if I wanted Tim to move forward, I now put in Tim, put some period, I want it to move forward, and then I'm going to ask him to move, for now, let's just say we're going to have him move 10. Now units is defined by actual pixels. So basically this is going to be the amount of pixels it's going to move. So basically we're now going to hit play. And move it a very small bit. So basically now let's just say if we move this an even larger amount of distance. So let's just say I put 150. Moves a lot further, and then in my pseudocode, which is basically the descriptive code, it's not going to actually affect what is happening to everything else. Yeah, you don't have to do the green part. All it is it's like that's just pseudocode. Pseudocode is basically code that helps describe what is happening and basically what it's going to do. So now I wanted to actually turn. So I wanted to do something else, which is a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to say, Tim, I'm going to give him the next instruction. I want him to just turn left. So basically left is part of the actual, and you're going to see, like if I hit it, I'm going to see him at the actual cursor turn left. Now, if I wanted to do anything else, I then just put in Tim. Now it goes off screen because I don't have it at full screen capacity. So basically, for the browser, I would say that just tells me what the limitation is. I can then now change that to like 200. So basically, I can now play around with the pixels and the distance and see what keeps it within screen. And now I can, instead of retyping, you can actually just copy and paste. If you're using a Windows computer, it would be a lot easier. So basically, you can actually use, there's other. So instead of repeating a bunch of code, and now let's try to see what happens if we break our code. So let's just say I now want to change some of the definitions within my code. And I just want to use Alex as opposed to Tim. So basically I change the name to Alex. Now that I'll be receiving an error, and it starts at line 4. And the reason why it starts at line 4 is because I've now redefined what I originally stated as what turtle was to now Alex. So if I want to make the correction, I now have to change all of these to Alex. So basically, as you can see, then it'll hit an error further down because these haven't been defined. It's like Tim is not defined on line 5. Okay, I will slow down. The quality should be the same as it was previously. Unless, of course, people are doing something else. So yes, the pacing is going to turn up a little bit. Right now, this is the introductory. So what we're going to do is we're now going to actually increase the actual rigor of it. So we're going to go into definitions. Right now, what I have on screen is code that I did earlier, and I defined, first I already punched in the definition of what I wanted a square to be. So basically it's going to draw a square, and then after the square, if I wanted to like change the colors or anything else, I'm going to type in blue. Yeah, most probably. Yeah, I need to define it earlier. I don't really want to do that. Yes, you can use numbers, but you also can use definitions as well. Like with actual coding language, there's like no necessarily fixed way of actually defining colors and everything else. Some colors it needs to be built in within the program, others it doesn't have to be. Okay, let me first change my Alex. Oh, I have a capital. And some of these can be case sensitive. Okay, so no, you don't have to delete everything now. I was just showing what we're going to build up to. Right now, we're going to be putting in the programs to actually build in a house. So right now we've got our floor, we've got our ceiling, we've got most of the things that we need, and then we're going to now go through and we're actually going to copy and paste a lot of our code, so basically then we can build a house. Obviously, I needed to start from a different point, so that is something else we're going to get into. Oh, sorry. Yes, I did touch my face and shouldn't be doing that. Okay, so which part do I need to go back? What part do I need to go back on? Yes, there is a little bit of lag. So we're going to input all the different directions to actually build the house that we're actually going to be building. So I am going to be changing some of the other instructions I already gave it, because basically, one, if you look at it, it's a little too tall. So I need to also then line it up. Yes, I should be wearing a mask. So I'm now going to be copying and pasting so I can get through all the rest of the different directions. As we get further into it, we'll talk about how do you set loops. I'm going to say turn on right. Okay, so I need that to be a little bit sharper. And I don't want to move as far, so I'm going to say 75. And then I have it turn. No, you do not have to delete everything. Where for this purpose, in order for us to all kind of have the same house and everything else, we are going to be using the same numbers that I'm using. Obviously, some of it is going to be a little different. So my right turn does not have to be that. I can have it turn 25 degrees, then go forward. Now, because this is a browser, there's a lot of things that I need to make it sure it's a go-to. So what that is basically telling it where I want it to go. This is going to be something that we could use if we want to now create other kind of spiraling graphics, and when we set it to like a global setting. So this is going to get a little random because I think some people are a little bit bored of what we're doing. And here's something that you can actually do which is a little bit more exciting. So we'll just put in hashtag that automatically tells our code that basically it is going to be, it's not necessarily going to be, it's going to get, it tells us it's pseudocode. So basically this is something that's going to be new. And then we're also going to define how to like draw like a spiral pattern. So we're going to set a definition for what a spiral pattern is. So we're going to start off, and our pen, which we could call it pen if we wanted to, but right now we just have it set as Alex. So basically wherever I tell Alex to go, that's where Alex will go. So first I'm now going to go to, I'm going to define how to draw a spiral. A spiral is kind of like a turning, twirling pattern, and we use triangles. We are still going to finish off the tree. I don't need it to go over here, so basically get rid of go to, because we don't need that. So we have our pattern here. Yeah, I need to define those yet, so I haven't, so I say I will not waste that yet. It's not going to be the neatest house. I'm not really worried about it being tremendously neat. Okay. Let's make it a go in the left pattern. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to set it so basically it just makes a nice square. Okay, that's going too far. So basically I need to set that a little lower. These are just the X and Y. X is going across, so basically it's going from left to right, right to left. And then Y is your axis where it goes from 0 all the way to 200 or 250, something else like that. So this gives us a nice little square. I'm going to try and set this, so I'm going to put 150. So this will make it a lot neater in terms of, then goes back up, and then basically I can now have a turn like 180. And then we can just use left. Now I wanted to do a 180 basically. There is a little bit of a delay in terms of code. So so when you're doing your code, it's just very important to make sure that your code is as even as possible. Like basically, you have your consistencies. You want to make sure that things are not going all over the place. There is kind of grammar to it. Go to where I wanted to. I'll need to go a little bit. Okay, yeah. I'll just put it back up, right? Okay. Okay, Tamara, I don't know if you're actually referring to this game or something else. And I'm guessing some people might be playing something else. Yes, I am still going with the roof. The part that is most challenging, what I've changed about my code is I first concentrated on making sure I had a square. So after I had the definitions of where I wanted to move forward, and I've defined the turtle as Alex, I made sure I had 4 steps that basically completed actually going through a square. So I had it go forward. So if I were to remove this code, first thing I made sure and established was having it go through and form a square. Then I added to it go to. Like the go to part is the actual most important part of actually getting it to actually, because it goes from 0, which is the point which it returned to, then it went up 100, so basically it went up y 150, which is the same length as what it has going forward. Then now when I was now adding in the actual rest of the roof, I now had it turn left 120 degrees. And I'm adjusting because basically this is a browser base, so it's not giving me the full kind of breadth of what I can do. Obviously, if you're an actual visual text coder, it would actually be a little bit easier because you can actually make adjustments. Okay, I'm actually make that go forward like maybe 78. Because since it's going up plane, then basically I can do. Okay, that looks better because it's straighter. I can make it go 78. I'm adjusting it, so basically in some ways I'm trying to find the happy distance. Within programs, like you're gonna have to always make adjustments for like what it has and what it does. Yes, Control C is to copy and Control V is to paste. Because I wanted to see it go past that point. Then I'm going to go to So now it goes right back, and then I have my nice little house. So I just copied and pasted. So copy and paste. If you're on a Mac, you're gonna hit Command C and then Command V. If you're on a Windows PC, you're gonna right click. That means right click on your mouse, and then it's gonna ask you to do cut. It's gonna ask you to do paste. It's gonna have a list of actual commands that you have in front of you. Choose the copy. So you would highlight it. You'd hit right click, you then choose to copy. Now, from there, right now we have a few people looking for our live chats. Okay, so we're now going to start with our spiral pattern. Okay, excellent. So I have Aiden who's finished his roof. Now, if you wanted to duplicate this, but then you wanted to be on a different axis, you can then tell your actual figure to go somewhere else. So basically, you can have it go to. Let's go to. Okay, first do that. Then basically, I'm gonna have it go to the side. And say Alex. Go to open parentheses, which opens it up. The browser does a lot of things basically in a visual text code you would actually have to do for yourself. And let's just say I wanted to go to like -50, 150. So that's telling it where in space I want it to drop. Then I could actually make a house reflection. Okay, so okay, so you made yours Turtle Bob. Well, that works. Yeah, yeah. You can name it whatever you want. Okay, Joy Zhao, if you've just joined, yes, that use Julian, yes. Using Go-To is basically another way of using it. Yes, absolutely. Python is not a language that is they're just restrictive. Any kind of language that you use allows you to just move it however you need to. Like right now, I formed like a little bit of reflection, and then it's also done the actual roof somewhere else. This is all about just getting your turtle to actually produce the graphics for you. Like as you change the values and you set them different places, it's going to give you different results. Like negative is also a definition that you can have as well. Is everybody ready to go on to the spiral pattern? Yes, while true does work. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the actual spiral pattern code. This is something that we're going to learn how to actually define. Like this is just a very good beginner code because it allows us to see what the turtle graphic does. It's going to always be this little tiny triangle unless you define it, unless you want it to appear as something else. And it can be a fun code that you can play around with angles, see what it does in terms of a vector. This is the same as a vector program like Illustrator or GIMP, and also there's also a feature which is vector program in MIDI-Bang as well. So with line stabilization, kind of also like in Clip Studio and a few other ones. Yes, the stream has dropped in quality. That just could be a bandwidth issue. We are going a little bit long. The actual scheduled time is supposed to be like an hour, and then 30 minutes would be just Q&A. So the spiral code, what we're going to do, we're still going to import from Turtle because that's the actual program that's within what we have. So we import the Turtle. Then we're going to now import math. That is basically some of our basic math functions that are within most actual programs. And we're going to set definitions. This allows us access to the definitions that are within it. Okay, even if you don't have Photoshop, there's a few other programs that are really cool that you can use. Like MIDI is a program that's free to download. Of course, you do have to have a computer. Good alternatives to Photoshop, all that will be discussed next week in terms of like actual graphics and other types of things. So I'm going to give a definition of what I want to do. I want to create spiral triangles. Then I'm going to have my, and then I want to have my pseudocode, which is going to kind of explain it, which is to create a screen, and turtle objects. Okay, I'm going to do screen. I'm saying it's false because I don't want to just follow exactly what I want it to do. I want it to do it by itself. I don't know if I have enough time to get through the full amount of code for the actual tracer or the spiral code. We've started a new code, so you should just be able to have just a blank and then basically just go from there. The best way to actually save the script is to actually go over. You'd right click. Now this won't be the same script we'll use next week. If we do, it'll most probably be kind of just creating a graphic, and then basically I'll have it already pre-done, and then basically I'll walk everybody through in terms of what the variables, what are the functions, what did I set to a loop. So you can then also look for those things in code and provide resources that you guys can use as well. So you're going to go over your code. So you're going to highlight all your code. If you're trying to copy your code, you're going to go and copy. And then I would suggest you open up a notepad. Right now I have it set to match this window, so it won't show it. Then you need to copy and paste it in a notepad. And then then you need to save it. Yes, you can. Now, some of the actual syntax for parameters, definitions, and functions are different than what you would actually have within like Python code and HTML and CSS. Like CSS, you'd be able to set parameters in terms of how big you want your actual box to be, and then basically what kind of pattern you'd want to run inside of it. And that's where however, in Python, basically you have to be a little bit more specific, and the syntax are a little bit different than that. Okay. As we're coming to the end, sorry, this is our very first one, so there are a few technical delays in terms of getting on time. Pacing and everything else is obviously going to get better as we get more familiar with it and we get more. And also, managing the chat will get better as well. So thank you very much for everybody who came. Thank you so much for coming today and being a part of the Catholic community. As I mentioned before, you can continue to learn with us in Montgomery County. We're going to be having our summer camp there, and also Howard County, Maryland. If you want to get an 18% discount, use Steam Stream 18 for all of our summer camps in both Rockville, Maryland, and Columbia, Maryland. And as always, please, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, that's fine too, but still subscribe. So basically we'll have a lot more coming, and we definitely look forward to providing better services and just providing, while we're going through all of this, providing all the different learning opportunities that all of you scholars can and trying to answer your questions, allow you to explore the world of coding and education as well. Thank you very much.